First of all, I already called my food ahead. So the Chinese food, if you mess up and you do that in the hood, they're not gonna cook for your number no more. They store your number like nah 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 nah. They playing around. So I was like, this was one of the favorite Chinese spots in the hood. I'm not gonna mess that up. But that's not just the reason why I had to continue on to the restaurant. I don't know if, I'm not going to assume anybody's from my previous story, but it was a story of guns in the court. It's a situation where when you're in certain type of hood situations, it's not so much that you ended up in a situation, it's your reaction to it that can determine the outcome of where it goes further. So when he seen me and I seen the guy, automatically he's looking like, okay, I remember that dude, because I can see it in his eyes. He's looking like, yeah, he looked familiar. And he's like, I see where he's from. And I'm seeing him and I'm like, he looked familiar or whatever. I want to welcome you all back to another episode of LB Tales from the Hood. And in case you don't know by now, I'm your host LB, and today's episode is called Chinese Restaurant Part 1, Not My Beef. Now this situation took place over 20 years ago, and the way it began is as follows. It was an associate of mine. He needed a ride to go see some guys that was, into something with a friend of his or something like that, or I know the situation, but I'm not going to speak on it because, I'm old school. Certain stuff, street stuff, stay in the street or whatever the situation is alleged to involve. I had no involvement in it, but like I said, I'm not going to speak on it. Not my situation. I only speak on things affecting me. So it was an associate of mine in the car, and it was another friend of his. So we go to the guy's house to, to see him about whatever they're going to see him about. So as we pull up, the associate of mine get out, and the guy he's with get out. So they begin speaking with the guys on the porch. Okay, so they're having a conversation. So then basically, I'm the driver, so I'm just still sitting in the driver's seat. I'm in the car, windows are down, nice day, whatever, minding my business. So then I noticed that the conversation tends to get a little elevated and heated. Like, I'm hearing it and I can make it out, but like I said, it's none of my business. And one thing I learned from being in certain situations and growing up in the hood, mind your business. It don't involve you, stay out of it. But here's where it gets interesting. As the conversation gets, and tempers, to start to change, attitudes start to shift. I notice the energy is really not, it's going bad. So then the guys are like, okay, the ones that's on the porch, they're telling the other guy I'm with, yo, so that's your man, such and such and such. And it was like, and the dude I'm with, the associate, he's like, yo, he was like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to really navigate around the situation without giving away too much, because like I said, it's not my situation. But basically, they were saying that your man did such and such and such, and they felt violated. And, they felt like their man was violated. And they were saying that, it's elevated. Let's put it like that. Simple as put. So then the guy was like, nah, that's my man, and I ain't going for that. So they was like, okay, you standing with him? So the guys in the porch, is maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them, whatever. They start to stand up, and as they raising up, they also up them poles. So if you don't know what that is, basically they had them sticks on them. They had them chopsticks, the guns. You basically know what I'm saying. They had the guns on them. So those poles get up, and they're like, all right, it's a problem here. So I'm like, shh. I mean, to me, what I'm saying, I've been around the hood, I've been around situations. If you saw my previous story, it's not the first time poles went up. It wasn't directly, the threat wasn't directly at me, but being that I'm here with these other 2 guys, and they're having a dispute or actual a conversation about their other man, and they're like, you're jumping into it, it's almost like I'm not directly involved, but I could be indirectly involved, because the guys are also looking there at me. They might not be raising what they're raising for me, but they're letting them know whoever's, part of this situation or whatever can get it. So I'm just the driver, so I'm like, it don't involve me. I'm chilling, minding my business, whatever. So the other 2 dudes that I came with, that I took them to, speak to the people about, they get back in the car. We go off. Drop them off. Okay. So in the back of my mind, I don't even speak on the situation when they get back in, because I learned to, like I said, mind my business. Situation didn't involve me, but I know I could potentially, being that the guys that was on the porch looked at me and they see I'm with, these 2, and it was a situation with their man, it could get kind of ugly. But knowing this, I filed in the back of my mind, don't say nothing, drop them off. All right, here's the thing. There's this popular Chinese restaurant in the hood. I mean, it's one, when I say popular, it's one that we all went to back in the days, because they had the best food in the hood. It's something like 224 on Linden or something like that, between 224 to 225, whatever. The location is not important. The point is, I would always get my food from them. Back then, I would get my whatever, my wings, chicken wings. I was a meat eater back then, so you know, I get my chicken wings with my shrimp fried rice, whatever. So I had put in my order one day at the Chinese restaurant. Okay, so I park up somewhere, cross Linden Back Street. I'm walking across Linden Boulevard towards the Chinese restaurant, and who do I see in the Chinese restaurant? I happen to see one of the guys that was on the porch who looked like, as they say now, ops. You didn't have ops back then. That's not what they called it, whatever. They called enemies, whatever. But it looked like, you know, one of the so-called ops for the one of the guys I was with, and possibly his man, in the Chinese restaurant. He's looking right at me. So as I see him, as I'm crossing the street, and he's looking at me, we recognize each other. Now here's the thing. Okay, it could be a potential problem in this situation. In the back of my mind, all type of things are running through my head, all type of scenarios. But I'm like this. While it could be a potential problem, the issue is this. First of all, I already called my food ahead. So the Chinese food, you know, if you mess up and you do that in the hood, they're not going to cook for your number no more. They store your number like, nah, they playing around. So I was like, this was one of the favorite Chinese spots in the hood. I'm not going to mess that up. But that's not just the reason why I had to continue on to the restaurant. I don't know if, you know, I'm not going to assume anybody's from my previous story, but it was a story of guns in the court. It's a situation where when you're in certain type of hood situations, it's not so much that you ended up in a situation, it's your reaction to it that could determine the outcome or where it goes further. So when he seen me and I seen the guy, automatically he's looking like, okay, I remember that dude, because I can see it in his eyes. He's looking like, yeah, he looked familiar. And he's like, I see where he's from. And I'm seeing him and I'm like, he looked familiar or whatever. So I'm like, darn. So if I decide to say, you know what, let me not go here and cut off and go back to the car, head back to the crib, whatever the case is. Now in his mind, he's thinking, okay, either he's scared, in which case if I'm scared, you know what I'm saying, scary dudes, you already know when you got a reputation in situations or whatever with certain people, streets are always talking. You a scary dude, you're going to get it. People going to eat your food. I mean, they're going to come at you, they're going to hit you up for whatever. You look like a lick to them. You look like food. Or he could be thinking that, okay, I seen him, I was on my way to the restaurant, why I cut off? So I'm feeling, so he could be like, I'm coming kind of aggressive, like passive aggressive, like, okay, I see what's up, and I could be going to get something. So in his mind, he could be like, oh, okay, this dude see me, now he ain't coming to the restaurant, he cut off, so it's on. So it could be, you know, just like that, things could spark off in the hood. It could be a misunderstanding that turns to further violence, further negativity. I've seen it happen all too many times, man, or at least heard about it, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, thank God I wasn't involved in it, you know. But the thing about it is, just like that, a misunderstanding can happen. So I say, here's the thing, man. Back then, my grandparents was alive. And even if they wasn't alive, you know, it's still, I would still carry myself the same. But here's the thing. I used to take my grandfather to a barbershop on Linden, his favorite barbershop. What happens if I would have left that situation and the guy had been thinking it's beef, and now I'm taking my grandfather to get his hair cut. And as I'm taking him to get a haircut, this cat recognized me, be like, yo, they go that dude right there. Yeah, that one that we got smoked with his man, whatever. And you know what I'm saying, get him. And they start firing, my grandpa gets hit, or, you know, I'm out taking my grandmother somewhere, or whatever. Even if I'm out by myself, you know, you don't know the situation, what's going to happen, but it could end up and be some unnecessary drama to come back on me. So I'm like, always, whenever you're in a situation or could be a misunderstanding, you got to nip it in the bud. And people respect you if you handle it as a man. So I said, okay, as a man, I'm going to see what's up. I'm going to say, I know at that point in time, before when the situation happened, the poor dude had the pole. I don't know if he got anything on him now. He could be packing. Look, I ain't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter anyway because, you know what I'm saying, to be honest with you, I could disarm somebody if I'm close enough. If I'm within like 10 feet and the pole come out, you know what I'm saying, I've had to develop the skills to be able to disarm, but it doesn't always go your way. We all know, even if you're a martial artist, you've been in certain situations, it could always go left. So there's no guarantee it's going to go that way. But I'm like, if I happen to approach the restaurant and he start busting at me from inside, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to get low and get behind something. But if I'm in there and I'm within a certain amount of feet, I'm not worried about if that come out, because if it come out automatically, you know what I'm saying, I'm reacting to it. So I'm like, I'm just going to go in here and see what's up. But I didn't go in there with any type of aggression. So I go into the restaurant. And when I see dude, I look at him, we lock eyes. And when he about to say something, my man from in the back, actually, it's my man that I grew up with. He's like a brother to me, you know. So he did some time up north, whatever. So I'm looking at the funny thing is, when he come out, I say what's up to him, and I go get my man a pound, and we embrace each other because we like brothers. Now, what I'm noticing is the guy that I'm with, who obviously, and the cat that matter of fact, I locked eyes with, he was a little younger than me. So I'm the age, about a year off from the guy that's my brother. So to me, I guess he was like his big homie, his partner, whatever. But it seemed like there was some reverence and they had respect for him. And the funny thing about it too is when I see my man coming from the back, he came out the back like where the locked doors in the Chinese restaurant when they go back to cook. He came out with his phone or something and was unplugging. I'm like thinking to myself, like, what's that about? I'm like, how dude got connections and he in the back of the store? But I said, you know what? Once again, none of my business. I don't ask, don't tell. You know what I'm saying? Just mind my business. Gave my man a pound. Was all love. So when, like I said, the young cat, the young bull that was with him, that me and him locked eyes, that it could have been a situation when he see the embrace we do, he's like, he come to me and say, yo, what's up, dude? So he give me a pound. So I give him a pound because you know what? It ain't nothing. I was like, okay. When I gave him a pound, we just started chopping up for a brief second. And he's like, yo, son, you know, such and such and such. And he's like, yo, here's my man for anything. So he give me that's phone number for those who don't know. So here's a situation too. When you're into it, or you're possibly not really into it, but when it could be a potential situation and it's cool, dudes will sometimes exchange numbers and say, here, take my math. So basically it's like this. If it did escalate or was going to be a problem, I could always hit him on the jack, or I could reach him on the line and be like, yo, you know, what's going on or whatever. So he was letting me know it's kind of like a peace offering. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you cool with me, I'm cool with you. And I was like, another situation inverted. And the funny thing is, come to find out later, I'm really glad I didn't get involved because it was none of my business and I wasn't anyway. But it turned out that after getting a little bit more details on the situation, the person I was associated with and that was into it with them or whatever, his man, could have been a violation. And you know what I'm saying? If you get involved and jump into somebody else's situation, it's a violation. Now people looking at you like, this what you co-signed? You co-signed an effery? You with the violation? Like I said, I heard bits and pieces, not my situation, but hearing back on it, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't going to get involved anyway, but whew, thank God, you know what I'm saying? I'm a thinker, still got my head in my body, but it was all good and all love. So basically, I'm not going to drag it on anymore. This basically ends, you know, Chinese restaurant part 1, not my beef. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as you see the lesson, I always try to give you the lesson. Life is all about lessons and blessings, man. It's a blessing nothing to escalate and went further. And the lesson to me was, you know, don't jump into a situation automatically with aggression. See, if I would have went in there saying like it's going to be something and I came with that energy, it might have been that energy. When we locked eyes, I seen it was still a potential. And then once we went in there, we had to embrace it. Was cool. It was cool. Like I said, it's not like me and homeboy was cool. We was going to start hanging out with each other like that. But we let each other know like it ain't nothing between us. Whatever was between, you know, him or his man and the other dude. You know what I'm saying? Not my problem. Not my beef. Don't involve me. That's the title of the episode. So I just, you know, I'm going to drop these stories, man. So I just want people to see that it doesn't always have to get stupid in the hood. Because a lot of times violence and things just escalate and it doesn't have to go there. We can squash it and nip it at the bud, especially if you deal with it like a man. Speak to people, communicate, you know what I'm saying? If it's not nothing or if it's a mistake, you can always apologize. My bad if it's something like that type of situation. But, you know what I'm saying? Keep it right, keep it tight. Let's all get together, man. No more violence. Let's all love one another. So this is going to end this episode of LB Tales from the Hood. Chinese restaurant, part 1, not my beef. You know what it is. I'll be back soon. So just chill till the next episode. LB out, baby. Peace.